It's been really shocking watching everyone walk back all of their complaints about the Nintendo Switch 2. You know, so many people were trying to come out like day one saying this thing was gonna bomb. This would be a Wii U situation, that nobody would want to upgrade, that there were no games coming out on this thing, that this thing had no audience. It was too expensive. And meanwhile, in reality, the thing is already sold out, and we have a pretty stacked 2025. Now, like, people are going to cope and seethe about that, like they have been, like, oh, third-party ports, oh, no mature games. You know, a lot of these games are available on Switch One as well. You know, Bonanza can't Mario Kart can't carry a console, which is like the greatest cope I think, the biggest cope I think I've ever seen ever. Right, like it's it's kind of insane, you know, seeing just how many people have just done whatever they possibly could to see about Nintendo Switch 2. Like it's just been like unreal seeing uh the narratives crop up, be stricken down, and then like the next major cope just come out of nowhere, right? Like again, this happens every Nintendo console cycle. This is nothing new, you know. Like we saw this happen during the Switch era, but it does feel like there's a little bit more panic in the air, right? This time it feels like people are getting scared because you know the narrative going into this was that like, oh yeah, PlayStation and Xbox are failing because consoles are failing. You know, like consoles as a concept, like can't survive in the modern era. PC's taking over, mobile's taking over. Like nobody wants consoles. That was like the genuine belief for a lot of people, and yet like they don't really seem to admit the elephant in the room, right? They don't want to address the reality that Nintendo won the console war. You know, like talking about PlayStation and Xbox failing is completely understating the reality of the situation. Is that in that they lost to Nintendo, right? It's just like just this gigantic cope. You know, this just stubborn refusal to admit that like Nintendo hardware and its game and its software are extremely popular, right? Especially in the case of hardware, right? But like, um, this is also true for software. We go through this with like every major Nintendo release. Where like, you know, leading up to release, where like the game is the next big thing on the horizon. You know, you see so many people see that. You know, like, oh, I don't think Mario Kart World can carry a console. Oh, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza's too goofy. You know, like I don't think there are the Switch 2 is gonna sell that well. You know, you see all these people like throw out all of these insane takes, and then when like they inevitably get proven wrong, they don't even really like walk them back. They just kind of move on to the next thing. You know, like we saw this with like last year with Mario and Luigi Brothership, actually, where like so many people like day one were trying to call this like some major disaster or a disappointment or like, you know, a a major step downward for the franchise, when like, you know, actual fans like myself generally consider this to be the best Mario and Luigi ever, right? Like I feel very strongly about that, very strongly, and yet I'm supposed to believe that like Mario and Luigi Brothership is bad because IGN said so. You know, like I'm supposed to listen to Logan Plant because beat 'em ups had him on his YouTube channel. Like it's just, why should I care what these YouTubers say ever? You know, like I remember 10 years ago watching Review Tech USA and thinking to myself, like, this guy is kind of a retard. And what happens? You know, he eventually the rest of the audience begins to agree with me, you know? And like the same can be true for like all these other personalities, whether it's like Arlo or Scott the Woz or Beat 'em Ups or like, you know, Peanut Butter Gamer, Mudahar, Gerard the Completionist, Carl Jobst, like they're all the same. Okay. At their core, they're all the same. They're YouTubers grifting for attention and don't actually like or enjoy the hobby and don't really know what they're talking about. You know, this is the big major thing that I've noticed, going into the Switch 2 era is just how delusional the audience actually is. You know, like they really don't like they're really not going to acknowledge the Switch 2 as being this huge success story until like it's well past like the 50 million unit sold mark. And even then, they'll try and gaslight you into thinking that like it's not selling as well as Switch One, or that like it's just like a declining brand in general. It's not gonna work, but they're gonna try, and that's kind of my feeling on it. Looking at like the current situation, looking at like all of these games selling out, and just looking at how many games I'm looking to pick up day one. Like this thing is going to be extraordinarily successful. That's very self-evident at this point. And yet no analyst wants to admit it, no journo wants to admit it, no YouTuber wants to admit it, because it flies in the face of the narrative. The idea that Nintendo is somehow some perpetually declining brand, even though they're constantly just breaking records and just putting out banger after banger. Like not only is Nintendo dominating like the video game world, they're probably the most well-run company in entertainment. Period. It's crazy what they've accomplished over the past 40 years, and yet you still have this dedicated group of naysayers who genuinely think that Gabe Newell and his fat ass somehow accomplished more in gaming because he created a store. Like imagine if I said that like Walmart is like some major player in gaming because you can go there and buy video games. That's how insane it is when like the Waltons are on the same level of like influence in the gaming sphere as Gabe Newell, right? He is the CEO of the Walmart equivalent in PC gaming, right? That's all Gabe Newell is. He is a fraud. His son doesn't even like video games. So when you take that into consideration, when you take into consideration like who the competition actually is, like what you come away with is that like there is no competition. Nobody has as many recognizable characters. Nobody has as many like exciting upcoming games. Cyberpunk 2077 came out like what 5 years ago. Like what has CD Projekt Red put out since then? Like they announced The Witcher 4 because they're desperate, but again, it they're on the way out. Clearly, like Nintendo put out like Animal Crossing New Horizons in 2020. A game that like outperformed Cyberpunk 2070. So like when you really think about like where we are right now in the gaming culture, like what we're essentially left with is like a bunch of people who are super excited about the next Nintendo thing, really wanting to really looking forward to the next Nintendo console and its new games. And then you have like 40-year-old boomers, 50-year-old boomers who have been like attacking Nintendo their entire like adult lives, like who genuinely believe that the company is due to fail like any day now. Like no, like it is a giant cope. You are completely delusional. You are out of touch with reality. Like you need to understand the fact that Nintendo is here to stay.